Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Judge Dredd mini painting. This week we are venturing to Hondo City and its stunning street judges. The judge inspectors wear a quite bold white and red armor, whilst wielding a tento stave, a mix of a bludgeon weapon and a laser rifle. They also come with laser shuriken discs and an array of personal choice weapons like nunchucks and katanas. Gotta think they're sci-fi samurai, basically. This model was so much fun to paint. I think we should just get into it. I'm not gonna waste your time. Let's go. Like, subscribe, watch the entire video, give me the watch time, and I'll catch you on the other side. Right, here we go. You know the deal by now. I started with black prime, but then I realized this judge is white. So I really heavily painted it white. It took a couple of goes. It's kind of grey-ish colour, which I'm fine with. But we're going to kick things off with the Games Workshop contrast paint, which is the Apothecary White. And I am going to just completely cover the model. Now, I've thought about using the Army Painter one, but I find that actually leaves the model looking a lot greyer than I want it to. I'm hoping the Apothecary White doesn't have that effect. But as you can see, I'm not dodging any areas, I'm covering it. The model has a tiny bit of flesh on its chin, otherwise the uniform is a nice looking white, and the weapon and some little bits of interest are bright red. So this shouldn't actually take a lot. So just a quick once round with this paint. Any areas that are going to be red that have this, it's just going to add to the shade, so it's really not an issue having it on. I'm excited for this model. I've actually got a Hondo City Justice comic that I need to read, but I had the comic in front of me, so I was using it as reference for everything. I couldn't help it. I had to finally paint this model, get it off the shelf, get some paint on it. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, there's going to be in the community page some RPG rules for it, and I'm going to have to work out some Warlord Games ones. Once I've done that, I'll share them. It's basically the weapon that I need to try and work out. It's a mixture of a club and a laser, so once I've worked that out, it should be pretty straightforward. Right, we've got most of the model covered. I'm just going to let it dry for a bit, and we'll come back in a moment. Okay, I had the fan on it. That's hopefully sped up the drying time. And I grab the Reichland, I always want to call it Reckland, the Reichland Flesh Shade. And I'm just catching its chin. It's a super quick, easy step. It's a tiny amount of flesh on this model. The Hondo judges, I was reading up on them, don't wear name badges. They only have, you can see the name in the helmet if you're another judge, but they don't wear name badges, and you never see their faces when they're on patrol. The reason for this is that they want everybody, all the citizens, to treat them equally. They are all the law. There's no getting to know your lawgiver. They must all be treated the same, which is a pretty cool idea. I doubt it works in practice. I'm sure we'll find out in the Hondo Justice series. As you probably saw, I grabbed the Flesh Tearer Red, and now we're going to start picking out all the red. I feel like once this is done, the model's going to be pretty much done. So it's the shoes, but not the full boot. It's also these little discs that are on the top of the boot. We also have the hands, some helmet motifs, and the shoulder pads. We've also, of course, got the weapon, the stave. So we'll zip through some of this because it's not super interesting. And as we zip forward, you can see I've now got the gloves going. I decided to do a little red band at the top of the gloves. Some artwork showed that, some didn't, so I'm going with it. I'm also working on the stave. I'm probably going to have to pick it out with a highlight later, just so that it pops against the armor. Otherwise it's just going to blend in way too much. Then the helmet, I had to crack out a smaller paintbrush for this. It's some nerve-wracking line work with the shoulder pads and then trying to get this helmet right. I drift off camera because I'm trying to focus as best I can. Second guessing myself. Trying to reference the artwork to work out where I'm going with all this. Kinda looks like a badger or something when you're just staring at the model with the shade in it. But we'll skip forward because it's very hard to see what I'm actually up to. With the red drying, I grabbed the orc flesh. I'm going to use this for the buttons and pouches on his belt. It's just going to add a pop of colour. It's one of those things, once again, some artwork showed the pockets as red, others showed it as green, like the mega cities. In my head, they learnt their Justice Department from the mega cities, even though there's some differences. So certain things I feel would transfer over. Interestingly enough, the Hondo judges are allowed relationships and a life outside of justice. They also sometimes have a chief judge, sometimes that role is called shogun. It really came down to who was writing the script at the time. But they heavily lent into the idea of like the samurais and Asian culture. It's what they do. At 2000 AD, they lean heavily into stuff. It's a little bit awkward, but there's a great strip called Ronin, which is about a Hondo judge who they've believed to go wild, and he's going off after the criminal underworld that has actually infected the Hondo justice system. That's on my to-read list as well. It sounds like a really cool plot. It's a much older comic. I think it's from maybe the early 90s. So if you've got it, let me know. Drop me a comment. We are pretty much on the last stages of this paint job now. We're doing the Telesar blue for his visor. Once again, this varies from magazine to magazine. I've seen blue faceplates, I've seen green, I've seen really pale green. The green, because I used it on the pouches, I didn't want to use it again on the visor, so that's why I went blue. We are using Iaden yellow, just to catch the button on the helmet and on the belt. Then I grab the Nun oil. Don't worry, I'm not covering the entire model. I'm just going to pick it out along the top of the boots, along the nunchuck chain, around some of the parts of the gloves, and some of the deeper recesses on the uniform. Even though I've got this grey apothecary white wash over the model, some of it's blending together. I want to just bring out some of the shadow a bit more, especially where like the shoulder armor should end, because it looks like it just blends into the arms when in fact it is actually a separate piece. So I'm just edging that out. I'm going to do the gloves in a second, and we'll do the boots straight after. And with this stage coming to a close, I'll make sure I take some photos, and I'll catch you all very soon. As always, I appreciate you stopping by and all the likes, comments, watch time. It really means the world to me. I love it when you guys reach out and chat about 2000 AD. I hope you'll come back tomorrow when I start the new series, The Rookie's Guide to Warlord Games, I Am the Law. It's where I'm going to slowly go through the rulebook and try and teach everyone the rules in a way that will make people want to pick up the game and play along. Catch you all tomorrow. As always, cheers for watching.